Hey, what's up? If you are here looking for some words of wisdom, you've probably come to the wrong place. But I do have an interesting question, and that is it better to have firearms chambered in lots of different calibers, or maybe just one or two or three calibers? You might remember I did a video maybe a month or so ago um, talking about how much ammo you really need. Check that out if you haven't seen it. And some people kind of make up these random numbers. You should have 1,000 per gun, or 5,000 per gun, or 10,000 per gun, or 147,683 rounds per gun, all kinds of stuff. And I kind of addressed my opinion on that. And again, that's just my opinion. I'm just a guy who likes firearms. But it kind of got me thinking because I see the allure really in both sides of the argument. You know, on one side, let's take it really, really extreme. And all you have are 9mm pistols and 9mm carbines, and you only buy 9mm ammunition. And all you do is stock up on 9mm ammunition, and you have plenty. Now, what happens if you can't find 9mm ammunition? Well, you're stuck. Well, what if you have a lot of different calibers? Then if you can't find 9mm, they might have 45 or 38 or 357 or 25 ACP. So they kind of both have their pluses and minuses. And I think that a lot of it depends on whether you're just someone who buys ammunition kind of just like, say, you're like let's call it a tactically minded person who does it mainly all for security purposes and preparations, versus somebody who's just a collector and isn't kind of into prepping or being prepared for bad stuff, and they just want to collect different types of firearms. I'm kind of lean towards the collector piece myself. I mean, I like to be prepared. I like to be ready. I like to stock up. But if I had to pick between one of the camps, I'd say I lean more towards the collector camp, which got me thinking. By the way, if you don't know this by now, this is a low-budget channel, as you can. This is no Demolition Ranch. So I ended up writing down calibers that I have. And I had thought about this before. And right now, my list, if you can't read my chicken scroll, is I have firearms that can shoot 22 BB, 22 short, 22 long, 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum, 223 Remington, 5.56, 25 ACP, 32 ACP, 32 Smith & Wesson, 357 Magnum, 38 Special, 38 Smith & Wesson, 40 Smith & Wesson, 9mm Luger, 9mm Makarov, 10mm 44 Special, 44 Magnum, 45 ACP, 45 Colt, 50 Beowulf, 7.62 x 39, 12 gauge, 20 gauge, 410, and for air rifles, I have 177, 22, 25, and 30. Now, keep in mind, some of those of the firearms I have might shoot 2 or 3, like the Heritage revolvers. Those actually shoot the first 5. They are capable of shooting 22 BB, short, long rifle, and Magnum. You have to make the cylinder change for that. If you have a 38 special, if you have a 357, it shoots 38 special. If you have a 223, a 5.56, it shoots 223. So you kind of get the idea. The 44 Magnum shoots 44 special. So some of them are doing double duty. And I had thought about this at first. I would say around the 2016 election. And I had a few things that I had gotten rid of. I had gotten rid of a Vetterli Vitali rifle that was chambered for 6.5 Carcano. And I ended up selling that because I figured a 5-shot rifle, bolt action, probably the last thing they're going to sell. So I bought things that they would try and ban. So I kind of bought other stuff. And same thing with, I had a Mosin Nagant. I regret selling that one. I sold that, and of course that's 7.62 by 54R. And for a while, a lot of the pistols that I bought, because I lean toward pistols, were also 9mm. And I put a big emphasis basically in 9mm and 22. But I still have all this other stuff, and like those people who say, well, have like 1,000 rounds for each gun. Well, you're not going to get 1,000 rounds for 50 Beowulf, because that's going to cost you like $2,200. And would you really want 1,000 rounds of 25 ACP, 32 ACP, 32 Smith & Wesson, or 38 Smith & Wesson? Could you even find 1,000 rounds of 22 BB? I think I have like maybe 100. And I don't even want to know what a pain in the neck it would be to track down 1,000 more. So, I can understand if you're looking at the two extremes, and, let's say you have somebody who just cares about, I don't want to say doesn't really, somebody who's more or less interested in being very, very proficient and organized and having their act together. They might like Glocks. So all of their guns might be, let's say, a Glock 17, 19, 26, and 34. Okay? And, maybe a 43. And they have all 9mm Glocks. And they have all 9mm magazines. And all they buy is 9mm. And most of the stuff they have works on all their firearms. Well, that's a very well-organized person because they have a system, and they buy in their 9mm. A lot of their magazines are interchangeable. Slides could potentially be interchangeable. You break a frame, you can use the slide on something else. It's really, let's say you got like 10 Glocks, all 9mm. And then you buy tons of magazines, and all the magazines or most of them are interchangeable in each other because they'd all fit in the 26, except for the 43. They'd all fit in the 26, same ammunition. Of course, that would be kind of boring because you're only shooting 9mm, you're only shooting Glocks, everything's the same. Nothing's really interesting. Now, let's say you have someone else who loves buying very, very unique, interesting firearms. Well, they might end up having 30 or 40 calibers. So they might not have much ammo for everything, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, so they always have to go out and shoot something. Now, if there's a shortage, they'll always be able to find ammunition because chances are if the store has a box of ammunition, they have something chambered for it. So that's a good thing. Of course, they're probably not too deep in anything. So whereas that other person, they got their 9mm ready to go in case of an emergency. The other person, maybe they don't have any 9mm or any 45 or any 357. But darn it, they got 700 Nitro Express, they got 32 Smith & Wesson, and 17 HMR. Well, they got it. Now, those are two really extreme examples. I think most people fall into, obviously, somewhere in the middle. Like I said, I'd kind of be more towards the collector part of it because I just like having a variety of firearms. We all have our favorites. My favorite's Beretta, so that's why I kind of got a lot of these like stranger. I shouldn't say strange, but like say less valued calibers. Like I have a 22 short, I have a 32 ACP, I have a 25 ACP. With the 9s mixed in. But I do definitely lean towards the collector side because I really enjoy the history behind it. I like to read about the engineering and all that kind of stuff. I'm a little nerdy about stuff like that versus just kind of stocking up on one thing. And I know there's a lot of people who stock up just solely on 9mm or just on 5.56 because they have an AR and they have a Glock. Or they have an AR and fill in the 9mm pistol. And I don't know, that would be kind of boring to me. I always have trouble sticking with one thing. And I tried to pick up some 9mm. One day, there was a shop having a sale, and I picked up some 9mm pistols. And I have a decent amount of 9mm stocked up just in case. Nothing insane, but, just kind of a little bit, a decent amount, so I'm not paying these crazy prices when the market shoots up. But it's kind of boring, always shooting the same thing. Sometimes I just love shooting 22. Other times I might want to try a 50 Beowulf. I kind of like having that variety. So, I don't think it's probably the best organized way to go about it, but it's kind of fun. So it's kind of like your balance between kind of having fun and satisfying your curiosities, about like historical pieces and like certain engineering feats versus being really organized and having these systems that just, flow very well with each other. Like, for example, like, you look at the carbine thing. Let's say you're really into Berettas and you have, like, the 92FS, 92S, 92FS, this model and that model, and then you buy a CX4 Storm from Beretta, which I believe uses the Beretta 92FS magazines. And then, for that matter, think about all the handguns out there that use Glock mag. So some people just do that on purpose, and everything works around this very, very well-oiled system. And I'm not criticizing that. I respect that. I respect people who kind of put that much forethought into it, and everything is so well organized and on point. That's great. And I respect the people who are just really into the the history of them, and the engineering feats, and just kind of some of the oddball rounds. I think that's really cool. So it's not really a point to say I think one's better or worse. They're both cool. I'm just saying, myself, I'm kind of in between, and I would go towards the collector side, as you can tell from this big mishmash of stuff I got here. And it's kind of funny because, like I said, there's some calibers I'm pretty well stocked up on, but then other ones I'm not. Like the Makarov, I think I have a box of Makarov. I think I might have like a half a box of 45 ACP. I think I have a box of 32 ACP. I think I have 100 rounds of 22 BB. And then other ones I'm capable of shooting, but like I don't have any. So let's say 44 Special, I have none. 45 Colt, none. I have no 32 Smith & Wesson, no 38 Smith & Wesson. So it's just kind of these things I'm capable of shooting if I were to find it and I were so inclined to buy it. But just kind of like a thought exercise, I figured you can kind of look into where you'd fall on the continuum. Like, are you more of a very, very well-organized, tactically inclined person who wants to have everything fit into each other and be very, very lean, whereas you keep things, the variety to a minimum? Or are you somebody who just goes into a gun shop, sees like a shiny revolver and says, "Oh, I have to buy that," even though it's in some crazy caliber? I mean, at some point I had to actually tone myself down and stop myself from buying like 19th century pinfire revolvers and cartridges they don't make anymore. That's how bad it got for a while. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this rambling about ammunition, because I don't know too many people I can ramble about ammunition with. So I appreciate you guys stopping in and maybe listening and kind of get you thinking about where you stand on the continuum, which would be, we're gonna call it the collector to the let's call it the system person. I think that's nice. The collector guy to the system guy, and this is right in the middle. I'm probably right about here someplace, and I would imagine that most people are probably like right around here, to be honest with you. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I also hope that if you did like this video, you will like it and you will subscribe, because I've noticed that most of you who watch my videos are not subscribed, and I would appreciate that. So you have a good one, and I will talk to you later.